Okay. The floor is yours, lady.
Thank you, Margarita. Hi, everybody. My name is Heidi Vung. I am the International Business Manager looking after Southeast Asia and South Korea. So I work for South Australia Government Schools and I'm based in Adelaide, South Australia. So before I start, let me just quickly share my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
You share the whole screen, right?
Yep, that's all right. I'm on my laptop. Oops. Sorry, it takes a while. Oh, there you go.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yep. Can see it
Yeah.
in full screen.
Yep. So, like I mentioned, I work for, our office is called International Education Services. And we are a unit inside the Department of Education in South Australia government. So I'm sure most of you probably already heard of Adelaide. So I'm gonna just briefly go through where Adelaide is. As you can see on the screen there, here on the Australia map, that's Adelaide. And I think based on the locations of where Adelaide is, has beautiful weather. We are basically based between the beach and the hills. So you if any students come to us, they actually really enjoy Adelaide. And recently Adelaide was ranked the happiest city in Australia as well, with the populations around 1.3 to 1.3 millions inside the Adelaide metropolitan area, and including all the regional area, Adelaide sitting around 1.7, 1.8 millions. So the good thing with this is our city is not a very crowded, very busy city, but it's still big enough for a lot of our students actually come. When they study, they would be able to have that best of both worlds experience. The weather, it's beautiful. Like today is 29-degree. It's cold inside and it's beautiful sunny weather outside. So that's why I fell in love with Adelaide, and I came to Adelaide as a student around 11 years ago, and now Adelaide is home. So I'm a big advocate for Adelaide. Um, a little bit about our program. So what we manage is my job is to recruit international students for our South Australian government schools, so public schools only. So our office manage everything in terms of the international students program. So anything from working with agents, managing applications, assessing applications, issuing offer letters, even homestay accommodation. Everything is managed in house in our office. So one of the things that we differentiate from other state is that we manage our homestay accommodation in-house. So we don't actually outsource our homestay to a third company. We actually have a team inside my office, around 20 people, whose job is to look after the welfare of our students, and to manage any homestay issues that we have. We also provide all the support services to our students. We help family liaise between schools and parents, and working with agents to basically deliver the best support and the best program we can to family. So within our international students program, we have different programs available. So the first one we have is the high school graduate program, which is available for students who would like to come to Australia to finish their high school and get a Australian high school certificate. So in here we call it South Australia Certificate of Education, so SACE. So any students who come here through the graduate program, once they successfully completed the program, they would have the SACE certificate, which will have an ATAR result, which is a ranking, which then they can use to apply to university in Australia, but also in the world as well. So ATAR is recognized nationally and also globally. So we also have our intensive English courses for students who would like to come to Australia to before they start the mainstream classes. They can do a 6 months of the intensive English course um, before they do that. And I'm gonna go through in details more of these courses after. And then of course we have the primary school program, study abroad program, which is a short-term program. So any students who's who want to come and study for short term before deciding whether they want to come for a long term. So study abroad program would be the best option for them. So study abroad program, it's around 1 term to 4 term maximum, and they can choose how long they'd like to come and study. Study tours, we do groups of study tours, so we have study tours from all countries around the world coming. We hosted a couple of study tours from Indonesia this year. We have study tours from Japan, Vietnam, China, Taiwan, Thailand. So we all have these study tours that come to us for like a 1 week or a 2 weeks program for that cultural experience, and they would be based in schools and staying at homestay. And of course, we have the teacher training program if the schools would like to send their leadership team or their teachers to South Australia to basically for professional development. So he's just one of our alumni. His name is Chris Bui. He was our alumni student, and he has now moved on and studying at Flinders University, and now he's also working as a student ambassador at Flinders University. So one thing that what I'm trying to say is we actually prepare our students and build their leadership skills, which will then help them to also flourish after they graduated from our program as well. And in terms of affordability, I'm sure everyone is aware, South Australia, it's a very affordable city. Our tuition fee, which I'll show you later, you can see compared to, our interstate counterparts, we are a lot more affordable. And with given the program quality is quite good as well. So we have over 150 schools that offer the international students program. Of course, we have more government schools, but not all government schools would be able to host a program. So at the moment, here's the breakdown of all the schools that are accredited by our office to deliver the high quality program to international students. So each of our schools would have a international students program manager. So we call them ISP manager. So we work very closely with schools and these ISP manager to actually provide the support we need for the students, and also to make sure the students are doing well. And if there's any issues with the students, we would be the first one to basically react to that. A little bit about our education system for our school sector, in case you're not aware. But we have our program from reception to year 12. So students of any age, show if they wish to come, and if they are qualify for a student visa, so if they're 6 and above, they would be able to come into our program. So we have many schools available, and many academic terms available for them from January to December. So we have 4 terms. So term 1 starts in January, term 2 starts in April, term 3 starts in July, August, and term 4 starts in October. So we have 4 terms, and depending on when the family would like to start their program, they would be able to. And a bit of our terms, each of our terms, it's approximately 10 weeks program. So it's more of every 10 weeks, the students get 2 weeks break. And then of course, until the summer break, where they have around 6 to 7 weeks holiday. So our schools deliver not just the SACE program, which I mentioned about, but they also deliver the IB program, which is the International Baccalaureate Diploma, which is a more well-known certificate or a degree that are offering not just in Australia but in the world. So at the our students, after they complete either SACE or IB, they will get the ATAR score, and IB score if they do the IB pathway, in which they can use to apply to university. So the difference between SACE and the IB is SACE is more of the students will choose different subjects throughout their year 11 and year 12. So year 11 is SACE stage 1. Year 12 is SACE stage 2. So depending on what the students' interests are, our schools will be able to help the students to actually pick the subjects in which they can do well in. Or if the students already know what they want to study for university, then this would be a great pathway so that they can choose the subject that will meet the prerequisites of the university later. And each of our schools will have a career counselors to help the students to pick the subjects to make sure that they can meet the university subjects. I'll talk about more about the subjects available for SACE, but basically it's very diverse. You have anything from art to STEM, to ITs to engineerings, and it will suit the students and give the students all the flexibility around what they'd like to do. And the IB program is a little bit different, where the students would choose 6 subjects at the beginning of year 11, and they would then study these 6 subjects throughout the year, throughout the 2 years, year 11 and 12. So these 6 subjects sort of split between 3 higher levels and 3 standard levels. On top of that, students also need to do theory of knowledge, their CAS, and their extended essay. So IB can be a bit more academic because of the self-learning requirements that it needs, and it's also a lot of, because they're only studying 6 subjects over the 2 years period, so the requirements that they need to study deeper into each subject requires more effort and self-study from the students. So some students might think that IB is a little bit more difficult, but I think in reality, IB actually build and helps the student to be more well-rounded and actually prepare them for university. And at the moment, we have 4 of our government schools on the bottom there that I've listed that offer both the SACE program and the IB program. So students actually have a choice of whether they would like to do SACE or do IB at one of these 4 schools. I'm happy to share the slides after, or if you have any questions. I think Yes Education would be able to help you with that, or I can take answers in the end. So a few of our special interest program. So a lot of the students, I understand when I talk to a few of them at the expo, they always ask me, what subject can I choose, or what's available, or what subject can I do, and to get the highest ATAR, which is the right questions, because you choose a subject that you're good at, and eventually if you're good at something, you will do well in that subject, and that will help you to get a higher ATAR score, so you can go to university, meet the requirements at the university, and you can go and study. So a lot of our students, let's say we have a few of our school teaching Indonesian as a language, and the students would be able to choose this language as one of their subjects if the schools provides them. Otherwise, they can always choose, if they're interested in robotics, hospitality, they want to do dance, they can do dance. If they want, they can also do computer design, graphic design, photography. So we have a few of many options that students would be able to choose from, which provide the flexibility for the students to experience all the subject to help them to find out what they're good at or what they're interested in studying. So the intensive English program that I mentioned earlier is a 6-month program for the students to study before they join our mainstream. So with the intensive English program, it's designed to help students with a lower English level. So for students who would like to come into a program, do the 6 months intensive English course before exiting into the mainstream program, students will not need an IELTS result. So they will just need to apply and submit their academic reports along with the applications. And if they don't have an IELTS result, they can always study this ISEC course, which will then meet our English entry requirements. And a lot of parents that I've talked to have an understanding thinking that, oh, this is just studying English at an English language center, which is not true. This program is delivered at the schools that the students will study the mainstream program at. So I know, some state they do a different college that teach just English, but a lot of our schools here actually offer this program inside the school. So, and it's not just studying English as well, but it's also studying the subjects that they can choose. For example, they will be doing ISEC maths, ISEC science, ISEC health. So what it does is the teachers will actually help the students to learn all the technical words that requires for their mainstream classes later. And the 6 months that they're studying the ISEC course will be supporting them, making sure that they are transitioning into the education system in Australia. And that and if they have any questions or if they struggle, the teacher will be able to help them in within this 6 months before they studying into mainstream program, which can be quite academic if the student doesn't have a good English foundation. So this is a very beneficial course. Even if a student have IELTS, I usually would highly recommend the student studying this program before exiting into the mainstream, just so that the students are well prepared and can do well later in their mainstream course. And in terms of our other entry requirements, if the student doesn't want to do ISEC, our requirement is that they will need to have an IELTS 5.5 minimum for a year 11 enrollment, or a IELTS 5.0 for a year 7 to 10 enrollment. Or if they have studied at least 2 years at an international schools back home. And of course, their report, they will need to have all passing grades with no subjects, no failing in any subjects. So if the students have met our requirements and they in their applications, they can choose up to 3 schools preference. And then what IES job is, we will then check with each schools to see, we will check the top preference of the students. And then we will then go down and to second preference if the first schools are not available or they are full. So the school capacity would then have to apply for many students. So if the students are interested to come to us, I would highly recommend that you submit an application as soon as you can. Just so that we can just so we can actually keep that spot for the students. So for our study abroad program, it's like I mentioned, it's a 1 term to 4 terms program. They can come here, they can study English, they can study ISEC program, and it's between studying English and cultural experience at the same. So this study abroad, the requirements, it's a little bit they're quite similar to the graduate program, where students are expected to wear uniform, they're expected to do homework, they're expected to study in the same classroom with all the other local students. So this program is quite popular, and it's very good experience for any students who want to come and see what studying in Australia is like before they commit to a long-term program. And if they would like to come for an even shorter term just to experience what Australia is, want to see the schools, we always have a study tour program, which is a usually 1 week to 3 weeks throughout the year. And this would be a little bit different because the students would then staying in the group of, their study tour group. And then they will get to go out on excursions. They will get to learn more about the Australian culture. And that experience before they have to go back. So in this picture here, that's a group of study tools that we have from Japan. And as you can see, our study tools, our schools actually arrange trips to the beach, to get them to see a wildlife park that can hold koalas, which is and our students love the experience. Homestay accommodations, like I mentioned, this is our unique selling point. Our homestay accommodation is managed internally by IES. That also means that as the Department for Education holds welfare for the students. So we schools don't hold welfare. The homestay don't hold welfare for the students, but the Department for Education holds welfare for the students. So when the students apply and submit an applications, our office will then match the student's profile with our homestay database to make sure that we can find a good match for the students. So that's why it is very important that when you submit an application, we usually would then ask for what are the students' homestay preference. For example, are they okay to live with pets? Are they okay to live with a family with other children? What's their food? What's the food they like or dislike? So all these questions will be listed on the applications, and it is important that they answer these questions when they submit the application, so that our homestay team can do the matching process as soon as they can to find the best match for the student. And Australian homestays, Australia in general, it's a very multicultural country. So our homestay come from different backgrounds. They come from different, ethnicity, and yet because of that, our students actually get that diverse experience when they come to live with us. And all the homestays are very carefully accredited. Each of the homestay has been visited by our staff member in the office, and all adults in the family will have a working with children check clearance, and making sure that they are okay to host an international students under 18. And because we are a department for education, we take child protection or children well-being very, very, very seriously, and we want to make sure that the homestay that we put the student in is safe and they can provide the best support for our students. And on top of that, we also have a 24 hours emergency health hotline, where if something happened or if the students miss the bus or if they don't come home, we will always get a call, or someone in our office will always get a call no matter what time in the day it is. And we will then basically work with the homestay family, work with the school, we work with the parents in back home to find and to try and help the students. So these are all the things that we can actually provide for the students during their time in Australia. And that's one of the things that parents are very happy when they actually send their kids to study with us. In terms of affordability, we are the cheapest among all the other states. And given the quality of our program and this infrastructure of our schools, I say the money is quite worth it. So here is just a quick overview of the tuition fee for next year. We have a more detailed tuition fee with breakdowns of all the fees on our website. So if you're interested later, there will be a link on our website towards the end of the slide in which you can have a look, and then you can then see the breakdown of what the cost is. So this is a breakdown of our tuition fee for each different year levels. And our homestay fees are $360 per week, which of course includes all the bills, so all the 3 meals a day, including all the electricity, gas, water, everything the students don't have to pay, and it's everything is included in this $360 a week. So the family, if they come on a long-term graduate program, they don't have to pay this fee upfront. The students can pay this homestay fees once they arrive in Australia. So the moment they arrive in Australia, they can then pay 2 weeks in advance. So that means they pay $720 when they first got to Australia, and then after that, every 2 weeks they can pay the homestay fees directly from the parents to the homestay. So if it's a long-term programs, the parents don't actually pay us the homestay fee. They actually pay the homestay fee directly to the homestay. Because we are the Department of Education, we don't hold welfare. So there is no guardianship fee, or there's no extra fees that the students have to pay to us. We just need the students to pay this fee on time to the homestay family, so they can support the students the best that they can. On top of what the schools get to offer, um, our premier, no, sorry, our premier, yes, our state premier just recently in July, I believe, um, announced that all tertiary school students can now buy the Adelaide Metro card for only $10 per month. So the students can use this card to travel on bus, train, tram unlimited every month for just $10. And previously it was sitting around $28 a month, and now it has been reduced even further. And this is a huge savings for the student if you add them up over 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. And I think it's a great statement that we're making to the world that South Australia welcomes international students. We want all of our students to have a good time, and we want them to come and actually be able to travel and have the accessibility in Adelaide without breaking the wallet. So if you do need any more questions, here's the website. So internationalstudents.sa.edu.au. Please feel free to go on to our website if you need any more information. And then you would be able to also find a list of our schools that are available to host. And once you need more information about tuition fee, term start date, end dates, everything would be on the website. So just a wrapped up quickly that last year the Department of Education actually invested 1.4 billion in upgrading all the school sites to make sure that all the schools now have investment in upgrading their facilities, upgrading their classroom, upgrading the equipment to make sure that the students have a good area where they can study in. They also provide professional development to teachers, and basically investing in our schools, because we believe that education is the future. And if you're getting anything out of today's sessions, just the 3 letters for you. So CCQ, the first C is for cost of living. So South Australia, it's very affordable, and for the quality of the program, and for those of you who actually been to Adelaide, you can then see that our schools and the city itself, it's a very it's a good city to live in, and it's a very safe and accessible city, especially for international students under 18. The second C is caring. Each of our schools has ISP manager who work very closely with our office. And our office, we have a senior social worker working in our office to make sure that we can provide the support to the students when they need. And we always have that very close relationship with the school, with the teachers, and with the students. We also have many well-being program, leadership program that are ran by our office to make sure the students, once they come to South Australia, they have a great experience outside of their school, to give them opportunity to connect with other international students inside all of our public school. Last but not least, quality. Like I said, the quality of our education is non-debatable. Our school, we place a lot of emphasis on making sure the students receive the highest quality program. Um, like I mentioned earlier, the department investing a lot of money in upgrading the facilities. Teachers are very well trained, and a lot of the programs that we ran here at South Australia actually prepared the students not just academically, but also we care about their well-being, their mental support, and of course the community that they live in as well. So if there's anything that I would recommend you take out of today's session, that would be CCQ. So thank you. So that's the end of my presentation. So if you do have any questions, I'm happy to take um, answers from everyone. Sorry, take questions from everyone. It's been a long day.
Thank you, Heidi, for your time and the explanation about South Australia Government School. Okay, for our guests today, our attendees, if you have any question about the South Australia Government School, or maybe you already have some student interested, please do not hesitate to submit your question because we still have time, still quite a long time before we close the session. So you can send as many questions as you want to. I think 30 minutes. We still have 30 minutes, so it's okay if you have a lot of question for Heidi. And maybe for a starter, regarding the homestay, is there any minimum grade that they can join the homestay, or for all grade can do the homestay?
Good questions. So for our homestay program, we can only accept students from age 12 and above.
I see.
So any students younger than 12 years old, unfortunately, they will need to come with their parents, or they will need to have a legal guardian with them. So in our government schools, we have three different welfare options. So the first welfare option is the students can stay in our homestay program with us holding their welfare. Second option is if their biological parents actually come with them to study, and it usually for primary school students and for some high school students. Or we also have something called a nominated homestay. That means if the parents have a family friend or someone who is not related to the students, but the parents would like the students to live with them, then this family can register to become one of our accredited homestay. Who will then need to go through the same process as our normal homestay. So they will need to apply for working with children check. We would go to their house to visit their house, making sure that they meet our requirements before we can accredit them as IES homestay. And in that scenarios, we would still hold welfare for the students for nominated. So the only option where the parents hold welfare or we don't hold welfare is if the parents come with them. And for approving that welfare options would be DHA. So DHA would be the Department of Home Affairs would be the one approving the welfare arrangement as an immigration's approved guardian. Yeah.
Okay. And then another question about the welfare. What if the student have like older sibling or cousins that already mature age that can be a guardian, but they are international student? Will
Yeah.
it be
So
approved or cannot?
um they can. So our requirement is if we have a lot of these cases. So if the student's older brother or older sister would like to become their guardian when they're here, then that person will need to be at least 21 years old to meet the Department of Home Affairs requirements. Um, and of course, their visa length will need to be longer than the student's visa length, so that for that to be approved. So
Um,
if their visa is shorter than the student's visa length, unfortunately, we will not be able to approve that as a welfare arrangement. We would then liaise with the agent. We would then liaise with the parents to come up with a solution. And most likely, in those scenarios, the students would then be placed into an IES homestay.
um,
Yep. And one of the thing with our nominated homestay,
Mm,
I understand the Department of Home Affairs requirement for a legal guardian for the student is 21 years old.
mm,
But if a nominated homestay want to host an international students, that person will need to be at least 25-year-old according to our internal policy,
I see.
because we want to make sure that anyone who's in charge of looking after an under 18-year-old students are mature enough,
Mm,
and can actually provide the support, not just the home or the meals and all that, but it's also about the well-being support for the students, being there for the students. So even though Department of Home Affairs requirement is 21-year old, our requirement is actually 25 years old. So that's just a little bit different there.
okay. Okay.
Mm.
We have question from our attendees. Is there any age requirement for high school student class year 11 or 12? And
I yeah, sorry, go on.
I also want to ask, can can the student apply directly for year 12 for South Australia government school? Because some government school the maximum is year 11.
Yeah. So to answer the question, the first questions, that yes, there are age restriction for school students. So according to the Department of Home Affairs visa conditions, if you are applying to begin study at year 11, you cannot be 19 years old or older. You have to be under 19-year-old when you start year 11. So the date that you start year 11, you have to be under 18. It doesn't matter if you're a day or 2 days, or turning 19 one day or 2 days later. But that's the requirement of Department of Home Affairs. So when we receive the application from the students, we would usually look at their birth date, and what year level they're applying to, and then we would then assess them accordingly. And of course, we don't want to put a 19-year-old student in a classroom among other 17-year-old students, so that would not be a balance. So yeah, so I would recommend you checking out the Department of Home Affairs website. There is a session that's for high school students only, where this shows all the age restriction of applying to study in high school, Liliana. Yeah.
But if the
And
student is much younger than the normal one, it's still okay, right?
not, no. So if the student is much young, well, by much younger, I'm talking about, let's say, if you're 14 or 15 and you're
Mhm.
applying to be in year 11, we also need to look at that, because all our year levels at the schools would need to be monitored quite carefully. So if you're 14 and 15, and if you have not done, let's say, year 10 back home, but you finish year 9, we cannot place you in year 11. We would then refer you need to complete at least year 10 before we can put you in year 11. So these are all the, not just the year level. You cannot just apply for any year level, but we also need to look at your age, and what year you have completed back home, before we decide what year level to put you into.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because in Indonesia, some school offer like accelerated program. So they
Mm,
might skip like 1 year during the elementary and then 1 year during the middle school.
yeah.
So
So yeah. So as long as we can see, so let's say if they completed year 9 in Indonesia, they haven't done year 10, and they're applying for our year 11, that wouldn't be able to happen. But if the schools in Indonesia have accelerated them, and when we look at the age, it's a bit younger, but they actually have done, let's say they're 16, but they have done year 10 already back home, then we might talk to the school and might consider to see if we can let them study in year 11, but it's case by case. And of course, we need to see how well they're also doing in year 10. So if they're actually barely passing a few subjects in year 10 back home in Indonesia, and now they have to study all the subjects in English, and we think that the successful rate or the chances that they might do well is low, then we might not let the students actually do year 11, but they might have to repeat year 10. So it's a base case by case basis. Yeah.
Okay.
And to answer your questions about year 12 direct entry, unfortunately, we don't actually allow will accept students into year 12 directly, just like all the other states. The reasons for this is in order to obtain the South Australian certificate for the SACE certificate, the student need to complete at least 2 years of year 11 and year 12 before they can get that SACE certificate. So just year 12 is not enough. I understand previously, if they have done year 11 in back home, at an international schools, or if they're doing the SACE, the SACE, some countries offer a SACE program. So if they have done less than SACE year 11 in Indonesia and they want to come here to finish year 12, we might be able to look at, because it's similar curriculum, we might be able to talk to our SACE board, who's the one who write all the curriculum, to see whether we can do the recognitions for prior learning. But other than that, all the other students mostly would have to do 2 years before they get the SACE certificate.
Right.
Mm.
And then another question that usually asked by our partner regarding the admission process.
Mm.
So, do they need to have their own residence option before they apply? Or they can just like choose the school first and then choose where they will stay?
So international students enrollment is different to local students. So local students are zoned to particular schools. So that they need to secure a resident before schools. But for our international students, they can choose what schools they like to go to, and what schools they like to go to, which welfare options. So if they are coming with family, then they don't have to choose the residence upfront. They can, after the schools accepted them and they have an offer letter, they apply for COEs, they get the student visa, and then they can sort out the accommodation option later. They can also do that. Otherwise, if they're coming to stay in an IES homestay, our team will then match them with the homestay, and the homestay will be approximately less than 45 minutes away from the school by public transport. So we will not, if the student is studying in the north, we will not put a student in the south. So all the homestays would be surrounding the schools. And we usually place the student as close to the school as possible. But I'm sure you're aware there's a current homestay shortage in Australia. So we try to do what we can, but our maximum is we will not let students travel one way longer than 45 minutes to go to school every day.
Okay. Okay. So, unless they already have like family there, they don't need to do the zone area for a school choice, right?
No. So even if they have family there, they can choose to go to school close to the address of the family, but they are not zoned. They are not determined by law school zone. No. Yeah.
Okay. Here for our other attendee, if you have any question or any inquiry from your team, or maybe already have some student asking before about high school or public school in Australia in general, you can try to offer them the South Australia government school, because there's also a lot of option and also benefit for the student studying in Adelaide. The Metro card is definitely very helping.
Yeah. So the Metro card, if you and any students with a valid student ID would be able to purchase the Metro card. So I thought that was a great initiative by our state government, and all our students has been able to take advantage of that.
Mas Farid, do you also have any question you want to ask while we are waiting for our attendee to ask their question?
For now,
Yeah, no, that's all good. And you have my contact details, Margarita. So in case anyone have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them. But I'm actually thank you to Yes Education to arrange today's session as well. I hope everyone find it useful. I'm a big advocate for South Australia, and I highly recommend you visiting South Australia.
Yes, very
Well,
important. Very nice weather. Mas
yes.
Farid just experience it.
Yeah. So
yeah,
Adelaide, I think it's very peaceful. I'm from Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam, so
Mhm.
it gets a little bit crazy with the weather and the traffic, and it gets a bit scary. So after I come to Adelaide 10, 11 years ago, it's been home, and I've been loving Adelaide as my second home. It's very safe, especially for students under 18. Um, I only started driving in Australia around 3 years ago. Before that, I've been taking a bus, train, tram every day to go everywhere, and it's been very convenient for me, and very cheap as well. And I've everybody here take public transport because it's very safe. So I thought, oh, I always see groups of students just getting on bus, getting on train, every day in the morning. So it's a very good city to be in.
Yeah. Thank
Mm.
you for your time, Heidi, to give us the insight about South Australia Government School. Uh, it's very clear and very informative. And for our attendees, if after the session you have any question or inquiry, or you have student wants to meet with Heidi online, please do not hesitate to contact Yes Education team. So we can try to arrange the online meeting with Heidi or try to answer and pass your inquiry to Heidi. Okay. Thanks a lot,
Thank you.
Heidi. Thank you, Mas Farid, and thank you, everyone.
thank
See you
you,
on
Heidi.
our next webinar.
See
Yeah,
ya.
thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
See you again.
See ya.